In an event which has been full of so many upsets, seeing Messi and Mbappe in action during the Sunday's final will be a relief of sorts for their fans, especially for the lovers of Argentina, whose loss to Saudi Arabia in the first match is now being seen as a turning point for it. It won the next 5 games to reach the final of FIFA World Cup 2022. But even as we wait for the two sorcerers to cast their spell one last time in this World Cup in Qatar, the series in its entirety has had plenty of magical moments to seal a unique place in the history of the game. The first Football World Cup to be held in the Middle East, it will also be the shortest when it wraps up on December 18. Also, for the first time in the history of the Cup, to avoid the intense Qatar summer heat that can reach as high as 48 degrees centigrade, the event is being played in winter. Even then, all World Cup stadiums are equipped with cooling systems that aim to reduce temperatures within the stadium by up to 20 degrees centigrade. Speaking of stadiums, 6 of the 8 venues, such as the venue for the final, Lusail Stadium, were new stadiums built specifically for the 2022 FIFA World Cup. The construction of these stadiums alone cost the oil-rich nation $6.5 billion. There are also rail lines to connect all stadiums. When a game ended at 4 p.m., for example, a fan could easily go to another stadium through metro line for a match that starts at 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. But not all stadiums will be left standing once the caravan has left town. Take for instance the Stadium 974 or Ras Abu Abod Stadium. Opened on November 30th, 2021, the temporary venue is made from 974 recycled shipping containers. It is already being dismantled and is designed to be reassembled elsewhere. Overall, Qatar has spent a whopping $220 billion in organizing the event. In comparison, Russia had spent only $14.2 billion to organize the 2018 World Cup.
This is a really unique World Cup because unlike every other country, I'm going to discount Japan and South Korea here in 2002, but most countries that host the World Cup actually have a footballing legacy. And they have stadiums, they have clubs, they have infrastructure developed around football that exists prior to the World Cup coming there. But Qatar, it's completely new. Just take, for example, the Lusail Stadium, which will host the World Cup final. In 2011, when Qatar hosted the AFC Asian Cup, that stadium did not exist. That city did not exist. They have built that city up from scratch, and that's stadium is just one of the small things that has been part of a large infrastructure branding project. When you get the hosting rights for a World Cup, there's a lot of sponsorship that immediately follows. But to be fair, Qatar did not need any of that. Okay, Qatar is a completely self-financed. This whole project is self-financed, $200 billion worth of infrastructure development. It's all been, and I can tell you how little this sponsorship matters to them just from the fact that one day, the evening before the World Cup was supposed to kick off, FIFA's biggest financial partners, sponsors for the World Cup are Budweiser. Qatar said, we're not going to let you sell Budweiser.
But way before the 8 stadiums of Qatar came alive to the clapping and cheering of the crowd, they were host to thousands of migrants from Philippines, India, Bangladesh, Pakistan and Sri Lanka, etc. According to Amnesty International, migrant workers form 90% of Qatar's total workforce. After winning the bid to host the World Cup in 2010, Qatar embarked on a massive construction exercise. Everything was built from the scratch, including all the stadiums, barring one, which was also redeveloped. According to Western media, thousands of migrant workers died during this construction frenzy. Qatar's last-minute ban on alcohol in the stadiums was also a walkback on one of the 2 crucial commitments they had made in their hosting bid. The other was the allowance of pride flags. Already under fire, their intolerance for LGBTQ rights, the controversy came to a head when security officials at stadiums confiscated items of rainbow clothing, flags featuring rainbows, whether pride-related or not, and reportedly intimidated fans. Right after Qatar won the rights to host the Cup, allegations of corruption within the FIFA senior officials raised the possibility that Qatar bought the 2022 World Cup through bribery via Mohammed bin Haman, who was president of the Asian Football Confederation at the time. Qatar has denied these allegations. And now, 2 days before the final, Vice President of the European Parliament, the Greek socialist Eva Kaili, has been arrested as part of a wider investigation into alleged bribes paid to members of the Brussels Assembly to improve the public image of Qatar. But controversies apart, this event will also belong to underdogs who lit up the event, both on the field and off it, with performances by Morgan Freeman, Jungkook from BTS, Nicki Minaj, Trinidad Cardona, and Nora Fatehi. The opening ceremony and the official soundtrack underlined Qatar's implicit message and theme for this World Cup. From the dominance of Asian brands on its billboards and sponsorship cards to the inclusion of artists from across Asia and Africa in the soundtrack, promotional videos, and the opening ceremony, the hosts have presented an impressive showcase of Asian soft power and culture, and it reflected in the field too.
Also, we saw an Asian team. Many of these Asian teams took down some European and South American heavyweights. It's obviously a step up for Asian football. It's a big deal because for us as India, if we are looking to get inspired, then I think at the very basic level, most of our grassroots work is done to complement the Asian structure, and we follow the Asian Confederation. So it's a really proud moment for us.
Indeed, despite the controversies and flamboyance, football regained its spotlight this World Cup, with a plethora of closely contested games, plenty of upsets, and Morocco becoming the first African nation to race into the semi-finals. The series have proved to be a football fan's delight.
The most unique thing is that wonderful matches. We have seen some great matches. I think in my memory, I have not seen, I can't recall having so many well-contested, keenly contested matches in a World Cup. There has been several World Cups which have been very sloppy in terms of competitiveness, one-sided, sometimes very predictable, but it has not been this time. This is, I think it's a from the sporting point of view, it's a huge success. I think this has been a smooth World Cup without any incident. Morocco alone carries everybody on their shoulders. The way they have played and an African team has reached the semi-finals, you don't need anything else to amplify the success of this World Cup. One Morocco is enough to amplify the success, I think.
While each edition of the World Cup has had its fair share of controversies, the newly erupted Qatar Gate scandal threatens to throw a bigger shadow on not only Qatar's lavish display of its wealth off-field, but also the robust footballing action on-field that had so far made this World Cup really unique.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.